Hi guys, I'm Ananya Panday and welcome back to So Positive Season 2 sponsored by Bumble. Today's guest is someone who I've worked with, someone who I admire, and someone who honestly I'm very fascinated by. Because she sings, she acts, she steals scenes, and she stayed so grounded through it all. Please welcome Lisa Mishra.
I'm here to steal your scene.
What scene?
I don't know, we'll see.
Okay, kind of nervous about that. Okay, so I want to ask you that you have basically navigated moving careers between cities and between industries. So how have you managed to do all of it?
I think honestly, sometimes I just get bored and like I need a new thing.
That's true.
To like put my intention and energy towards, because I've been making music since I was 4. So it's been nearly like, it's like 18 years later. So I need other things to like fuel me. So maybe it's as drastic a change as like moving across the world. But
That's so scary, though.
I know, it was wild. Also because I did it really young.
How old were you?
I was 20, I just turned 24. And then I just was like, see a family, and I moved here alone.
And then?
And then we're here now.
So what did it take to like build a whole new system of like baes?
Yeah, I think, a baes.
A bae throw in.
Yeah, just a little pepper that in. But I really think that, you know, like that phrase, found family, you have to piece together your intimate circle. And honestly, it's a trial and error process because you're given unconditional love from like certain pillars in your life, right? Usually it's your parents, it's your best friends you've known since childhood. So the initial phase of like weeding out who will and won't stick around and building that trust is really exhausting. But in the long run, after you just like stick through that process and you find your people, these are friends you're gonna make for life.
How can we build something over the years? Because I've only had the best examples of that work out in a friendship way.
Yeah, of
around
course.
me.
And I mean, like, I've met your friends who've come to your first screenings, who are people you went to school with.
Yeah.
So, like, your friendships are so solid. Obviously, your expectations are gonna be, I know, they're good friends. She has really good friends. But obviously, your expectations should be as high, if not more, of someone that's like your life partner.
Exactly. But you do friendships really well, but then you also do like your solo traveling so well, which I'm very jealous about because so I would still completely get scared to go on a solo trip, but I've become way more independent than I used to be. Like first, I used to constantly need to have people around me. But now, maybe because I'm living alone, at least like there's one step of like, I love being alone. Like I just love my me time. I love spending time alone. After a day on set, I just want to go back and like...
You do it on set as well.
Exactly.
You like your peace while things are happening.
Exactly. But then don't you think that sometimes that can, when you have too much like me time and independence, do you feel like sometimes that can translate into seeming guarded to someone else?
100%. I think it's intimidating for a lot of people who've like dated me or like wanted to date me to see like my level of independence in life in general, because so much of that is like you have to be willing to let somebody into your life and kind of accommodate that anxiety of theirs and be like, I have room.
Yeah, but you don't think that's compromising on your peace?
No, I don't think so. I think companionship is like a really beautiful thing, whether it's in a friendship or in a relationship, because it's only gonna like enhance your life emotionally. Otherwise, you can go from feeling like I'm alone into feeling I'm lonely very quickly. That pipeline.
Which is two very different things.
Yes.
I think people often confuse it. Do you have an example of when you feel like you played it cool and then you ruined something because you tried to like be like, oh, you know, I'm nonchalant?
I've had so many mixed signal endings to like my dating life. So I would say like the one that's impacted me most was like one of my best friends who I just was harboring a crush on for years, and I just wouldn't say anything. And I was like, you know, we're bros, it's fine.
And did you ever tell this person?
I told them when it was too late.
Why?
And they had like fully moved on and were in a serious relationship that I had championed.
No.
And I was like, I'm so happy for you. And they're like really happy together. So like, that's great for them.
So you feel like you should have told them earlier. But at least you made it clear. Did that affect your friendship though?
Oh, absolutely. In the beginning, it affected the friendship from my end because I was so, like I said, it's an embarrassing thing to be rejected. And then to be rejected by your best friend, you're just like, okay, I'm just like not making any public appearances
and
for
then
a
was
while.
the friendship fine after that?
It was fine after a while because now we can laugh about it.
Okay, so it did help to be...
Yeah.
Otherwise, for your whole life, you would be like, what if I told that? Which
and
is
you
the
never
worst
know.
feeling.
What if it circles back and you end up at some other stage of life together?
Exactly.
Clarity is kindness. And
that's so cute.
I know. This is my morsel for you.
I think we need to put that on a t-shirt for Lisa.
Clarity is kindness. Yes. And it saves everyone time and heartbreak, right? And clarity from my end and about my romantic intentions for this person was kind towards myself.
Yeah, because you were living with that.
I was just anxious all the time. I wasn't being good to myself by overthinking the situation and walking on eggshells around them. And their clarity was kind for me.
Because then they set the
they were like,
boundary,
hey, you're my best friend. And I don't feel the same way, but that changes absolutely nothing about how close I am to you as a person. It's just the timing is not on our side. And sometimes they don't even have to do you that, kindness of saying the timing is not right. They're allowed to also just be like, you're not my person. Yeah. But I don't want that to compromise how meaningful our friendship is.
But that kind of also reminds me of how people in our generation at least think that we have to play it cool. Like we don't want to show someone that we're too invested or that we want to give to, which is
also everybody's in that era right now.
Yeah.
On we watch all this content online of just being like my 8 to 5 after my, all that stuff. Yes. It makes you look like your day's packed.
Yeah.
And I don't actually want anyone.
Yeah.
I'm great on my own.
So do you actually think that right now, pop culture or whatever we're consuming, content we're consuming, is it making us lean more towards wanting to be alone? Or feeling not wanting to be alone, or maybe feeling it's okay to be alone?
Yeah, I think you actually nailed it. I think what we have to try and remember is that we should want our alone time without projecting it as I prefer being alone.
Yeah.
And there is a definite distinction to be made. I love my alone time, I love my me time, but I don't want to ever come off so closed off that I have no room for my friendships, my relationships, my parents and family and everybody else that helps supplement in a really healthy way all of the emotional gaps in my life. Otherwise, I would just be a person who does things and doesn't feel things.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if you find your pockets of time in your life to make sure you are intentionally spending that with people, it really can only help you emotionally in the long term.
Growing up, it was very different. The kind of stuff we consumed and the kind of films that we watched.
It was very guy meets girl, they fall in love and they cohabitate immediately.
But it also felt like we couldn't say how we feel as easily. It had to be this whole drama and this whole build-up and all these misunderstandings and cross paths for it to finally lead up to being oh wait, these two people
really like you.
Yeah, but don't you think just saying it in the first place would have been much simpler?
So many Bollywood films have, spent hours on us being just tell each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But do you think that affects the way that we have dealt with relationships?
Yeah, I think that really has programmed us to be you should just never say anything and then die.
Which is not the way to be.
No, it's just be we should be able to just express in a safe and healthy way.
Exactly, without feeling rejection is the worst thing in the world.
And honestly, rejection isn't the worst thing in the world.
Isn't.
If you just wear your heart on your sleeve, what's the worst they can say? No, and then you'll be fine.
It's
I promise
really
you.
Okay.
Yeah, I promise you. Life isn't over if someone says, "Hey, I don't feel the same."
Exactly.
And then you can just be okay, well, I'm gonna go back to my routine. I would say, honestly, as recently as until 2 years ago, I didn't feel I was able to tell someone how I felt without compromising my confidence or my sense of self. And honestly, that's all. It boils down to a little bit of its ego because we're afraid of rejection. And the other part is that we're just afraid to be vulnerable. I think it's half of it is just you're scared and half of it is, you don't want to face the rejection because it'll hurt your ego. But I definitely feel we didn't have a lot of examples that stood out of girls who were I'll just tell you, and you know what, if you're not into it, fine.
Yeah. No, I feel like however generic it may sound, like every closed door leads you to something better. You know, like every time something has not worked out in the past or someone has rejected you, and you look back now, you're like, thank God that person.
Because that was not my person.
That was not my person, exactly.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it probably felt horrible and you cried and you went.
You think it's the end of the world.
Exactly. And it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
But that's why I think intention is so important, because from the beginning only, you're kind of putting it out there that, okay, this is what I want. And you're expressing it, and then the other person can match that, or they can see if that's not something for them, or if it is something for them. And that's why I think Bumble has a great feature of intentions, where you can kind of select what your intentions are from the very beginning. Like, I want a long-term relationship, I'm just looking to have fun, I'm just looking to chat. And then the other, you can filter people based out on what intentions you're looking for in another person.
See if it's a match between the two of you.
And that's amazing, because you're already starting a relationship from honesty and clarity, which, as you said, is kindness. And I feel like social media actually, more than anything, has added to that anxiety, because there's 100%. So much scope for miscommunication and things going wrong, and seeing something that may upset you or may make you feel horrible about, you know.
And it's also made us all really emotionally guarded, because now I feel like there's so many rules, especially for like women and girls in dating, where we're told to be like, you know, don't put yourself out there, because it's like, it's all about you being independent, and like, you don't need to do that. If they're into you, they'll come. I was like, well, maybe they just don't know.
Yeah.
maybe
because
the
in our head,
information could have helped.
Yeah, maybe in our heads, we're thinking we're all like chalant, and we're like showing the person that we feel, but we could literally just be like, thinking we're smiling, but have no feeling showing on our face.
100%. I feel like we need to stop canceling out vulnerability from our lives. It's like a part of being human, and it's okay to put your heart on your sleeve, and it's okay for somebody to fully see you and your vulnerabilities, and then it's up to them if that's working for them or not. But overarching theme of millennial dating, because I'm firmly a millennial, was that you are supposed to enter into meeting someone saying this awful phrase, I can't stand it, let's just go with the flow. And like it like makes my skin crawl, because so much of my 20s was lost to going with the flow. I feel like the kindest thing we can do is just be honest from the get-go and say like, hey, I'm at a point in my life where I'd like to be in a serious relationship. If that's not a thing you're into, that's fine. Like, we'll be friends.
And I also think that helps you figure out what you want.
Totally.
Because sometimes we're just trying to project, and we're trying to be what's cool, like in this generation of not seeming too eager, trying to kind of play it hard to get sometimes. We are just actually not even thinking about what we want. We're basing our opinions on love and relationships and what we need, what we don't need, based on what other people are doing, when it may not even work for us. So I think actually just sitting down there and being like, okay, wait, what is it that I actually want or expect from the other person? And literally, even if it may sound so basic, but just writing it down, or putting it out there, and then leading your life in that way. And you know, I've heard this from so many of my single friends, that the moment you're just clear about your intentions, when you're honest about exactly what you want, it makes dating 10 times easier.
I'm laughing, sort of, because I just like remembered a really funny past dating story of my own.
I'm scared.
I know. So, fun fact, Ananya knows of all of my dating stories, and
it's like every time we're shooting Call Me Bae, between seasons, between episodes also sometimes, between
You've known me 4 years now.
I've known her 4 years, and Lisa, without fail, will have the most entertaining dating stories.
Yeah, not necessarily unhinged, but definitely entertainment value.
And they must be horrible for her in the moment, but then when she tells us like a while later, it gets better, right?
Yeah, right? There's always a happy ending.
Exactly.
We learn something. And like, I'm remembering I dated someone last year, and we were supposed to meet at, I think it was like 4 p.m. for a coffee. And it was supposed to just be a coffee. And we had such a good time that he was like, you know, I live right around the corner, and I have a really nice balcony, and I really like making chai. And he's like, no pressure, because it's
this amazing dream person.
I know. And this person's like, you know, good at making chai. So I went over, then we had chai on the balcony. And then after the chai on the balcony, he was like, I mean, do you want to like hang around or we can go somewhere else. And I was like, there's a spot next to this place that's got matcha that's new. So then we're now on our third cup of caffeine.
So we're hyper caffeinated.
Yeah, hyper caffeinated. And then the night was like, we started at 4 and it was going towards 8, now 9 o'clock. And then I kind of was like, should we just like say it? Should we just tell each other that this is going really well and I would like to see you again? Like we don't need to, because I think what's implied is like you met for coffee, it's supposed to be casual, like play it cool.
One of the other rules that we
have. All these things that we're like taught, you can't do this or you can do this. So I just was like, okay, don't seem so eager, because it wasn't a dinner date. A dinner date is more serious. Like coffee is casual. But I was like, this coffee has become 3 types of caffeine, and we went and got dinner at the end of the night. And I was like, I think it's safe to say we enjoy each other's company. So I said it out loud. I was like, I had a really good time and I'd like to see you again. And then he was like, oh, thank God, me too.
Because
he was just like, when will this date end?
Yeah.
Unless one of us just says it.
Say what I love it. I love that. That's so sweet.
Yeah, so it goes to show that like one of you is hesitating, whether it's you or the other person. And if someone just says it out loud, you cut all of that tension. And now
at the beginning.
Yeah, and you've laid all your cards out. So now you're like, whatever.
I love that because it takes the pressure off. Like it doesn't make you feel so pressurized about what the outcome is going to be, and it just kind of sets the tone of how you are supposed to show up.
And ironically, that is what truly going with the flow is. It's not being vague. Going with the flow is like, I'm going to tell you this piece of information and then we'll see where we take this.
So going in a very specific flow.
The river flows
with the flow. Like there's enough space for like the water to move.
Yeah, but there's a current.
The course is planned out. So it's
the current is this way.
It can't go back. Okay, I think we found
our metaphor.
We found it. We made it work. Okay, thank you, Lisa. I think we should stop here because we can really go on.
We can go on with this metaphor forever.
Like a river.
Go on with the flow.
Okay guys, so my so positive homework for this week is to try some clarity. It can be in any way. It can be in dating, it can be in your friendships, it can be at your job. Just edit out the little extra things that you're adding in your head. See you next week. As we've talked about today, putting yourself out there can be scary. It's important to be honest and vulnerable. Whilst doing so, if a potential match makes you feel harassed, unsafe, or uncomfortable, Bumble makes it easier to report bad behavior to their support team. You can follow the status of your report and find more ways to be safe in Bumble's Help Hub.